John Woo SBS is a Hong Kong film director, writer, and producer. He is considered a major influence on the action genre, known for his highly chaotic action sequences, Mexican standoffs, and frequent use of slow motion. Woo has directed several notable Hong Kong action films, among them, A Better Tomorrow, The Killer, Hard Boiled, and Red Cliff. His Hollywood films include Hard Target, Broken Arrow, Face Off and Mission Impossible 2. He also created the comic series Seven Brothers, published by Virgin Comics. Woo was described by Dave Kehr in The Observer in 2002 as arguably the most influential director making movies today. Woo cites his three favorite films as David Lean's Lawrence of Arabia, Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai and Jean-Pierre Melville's Le Samouraï. Early life: Woo was born Yu-Sheng in Guangzhou, China, amidst the chaos of the Chinese Civil War at the end of October, 1946. Because of school-age restrictions, his mother changed his birth date to September 22, 1948, which is what remains on his passport. The Christian Woo family, faced with persecution during Mao Zedong's early anti-bourgeois purges after the Communist Revolution in China, fled to Hong Kong when he was 5. Impoverished, the Woo family lived in the slums at Shek. His father was a teacher, though rendered unable to work by tuberculosis, and his mother was a manual laborer on construction sites. The family was rendered homeless by the Big Shek fire of 1953. Charitable donations from disaster relief efforts enabled the family to relocate. However, violent crime had by then become commonplace in Hong Kong housing projects. At age 3 he was diagnosed with a serious medical condition. Following surgery on his spine, he was unable to walk correctly until 8 years old, and as a result his right leg is shorter than his left leg. His Christian background shows influences in his films. As a young boy, Woo had wanted to be a Christian minister. He later found a passion for movies influenced by the French New Wave, especially Jean-Pierre Melville. Woo has said he was shy and had difficulty speaking, but found making movies a way to explore his feelings and thinking and would use movies as a language. The local cinema would prove a haven of retreat. Woo found respite in musical films, such as The Wizard of Oz and in American westerns. He has stated the final scene of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid made a particular impression on him in his youth. The device of two comrades, each of whom fire pistols from each hand, is a recurrent spectacle later found in his own work. Woo married Annie Woonga-chun-lung in 1976 and has 3 children. He has lived in the United States since 1993. Hong Kong career: in 1969, Woo was hired as a script supervisor at Cathay Studios. In 1971, he became an assistant director at Shaw Studios. His directorial debut in 1974 was the feature film The Young Dragons. In the kung fu action genre, it was choreographed by Jackie Chan and featured dynamic camera work and elaborate action scenes. The film was picked up by Golden Harvest Studio, where he went on to direct more martial arts films. He later had success as a comedy director with Money Crazy, starring Hong Kong comedian Ricky Hui. By the mid-1980s, Woo was experiencing professional burnout. Several of his films were commercial disappointments, and he felt a distinct lack of creative control. It was during this period of self-imposed exile that director-producer Tsui Hark provided the funding for Woo to film a long-time pet project, A Better Tomorrow. The story of two brothers, one a law enforcement officer, the other a criminal. The film was a financial blockbuster. A Better Tomorrow became a defining achievement in Hong Kong action cinema for its combination of emotional drama, slow-motion gunplay, and gritty atmospherics. Its signature visual device of two-handed, two-gun shootouts within confined quarters, often referred to as gun fu, was novel, and its diametrical inversion of a good guys bad guys formula in its characterization would influence later American films like The Departed. Woo would make several more heroic bloodshed films in the late 1980s and early 1990s, nearly all starring Chow Yun-fat. These violent gangster thrillers typically focus on men bound by honor and loyalty, at odds with contemporary values of impermanence and expediency. The protagonists of these films, therefore, may be said to present a common lineage with the Chinese literary tradition of loyalty among generals depicted in classics such as Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Woo gained international recognition with the release of The Killer, which became the most successful Hong Kong film in American release since Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon and garnered Woo an American cult following. Bullet in the Head followed a year later, failed to find an audience that accepted its political undertones, and failed to recoup its massive budget. His last Hong Kong film before emigrating to the United States was Hard Boiled, a police thriller that served as the antithesis of his previous glorification of gangsters. Most notable of its numerous action scenes is a 30-minute climax set within a hospital. One particular long take follows two characters for exactly 2 minutes and 42 seconds as they fight their way between hospital floors. On the Criterion DVD and Laserdisc, this chapter is referenced as 2 minutes, 42 seconds. The film was considerably darker than most of Woo's previous films, depicting a police force nearly helpless to stop the influx of gangsters in the city, and the senseless slaughter of innocents. As a result, it did not match the success of his other films. John Woo Interviews includes a new 36-page interview with Woo by editor Robert K. Elder, which documents the years 1968 to 1990, from Woo unregistered trademark's early career in working on comedies and kung fu films, to his gunpowder morality plays in Hong Kong. American career, an A copyright Migra copyright in 1993, the director experienced difficulty in cultural adjustment while contracted with Universal Studios to direct Jean-Claude Van Damme in Hard Target. As characteristics of other foreign national film directors confronted the Hollywood environment, Woo was unaccustomed to pervasive management concerns, such as limitations on violence and completion schedules. When initial cuts failed to yield an R-rated film, the studio assumed control of the project and edited footage to produce a cut suitable for American audiences. A rough cut of the film, supposedly the original unrated version, is still circulated among his admirers. A 3-year hiatus saw Woo next direct John Travolta and Christian Slater in Broken Arrow. A frenetic chase-themed film, the director once again found himself hampered by studio management and editorial concerns. Despite a larger budget than his previous Hard Target, the final feature lacked the trademark Woo style. Public reception saw modest financial success. Reluctant to pursue projects which would necessarily entail front-office controls, the director cautiously rejected the script for Face Off several times until it was rewritten to suit him. Paramount Pictures also offered the director significantly more freedom to exercise his specialty, emotional characterization and elaborate action. A complex story of adversaries each of whom surgically alters their identity. Law enforcement agent John Travolta and terrorist Nicolas Cage play a cat-and-mouse game, trapped in each other's outward appearance. Face Off opened in 1997 to critical acclaim and strong attendance. Grosses in the United States exceeded $100 million. In 2003, Mr. Woo directed a television pilot entitled The Robinsons, Lost in Space for the WB television network, based on the 1960s television series Lost in Space. The pilot was not purchased, although bootleg copies have been made available by fans. John Woo has made 3 additional films in Hollywood: Mission Impossible 2, Wing Talkers and Paycheck. Mission Impossible 2 was the 3rd highest-grossing film in America in 2000, but received mixed reviews. Wing Talkers and Paycheck fared poorly at the box office and were summarily dismissed by critics. Recently, John Woo directed and produced a video game called Stranglehold for games consoles and PC. It is a sequel to his 1992 film, Hard Boiled. He also produced the 2007 anime movie, Appleseed, Ex Machina, the sequel to Shinji Aramaki's 2004 film Appleseed. Returned to Hong Kong, in 2008, Woo returned to Asian cinema with the completion of the epic war film Red Cliff, based on an historical battle from records of the Three Kingdoms. Produced on a grand scale, it is his first film in China since he emigrated from Hong Kong to the United States in 1993. Part 1 of the film was released throughout Asia in July 2008. to generally favorable reviews and strong attendance. Part 2 was released in China in January 2009. John Woo was presented with a Golden Lion Award for Lifetime Achievement at the Venice Film Festival in 2010. Future film projects, ACGI, possibly 3D, Mighty Mouse film was announced in 2003 although, as of October 2012, nothing has yet been produced. There have been rumors that Woo will direct a film version of the video game Metroid, however the rights he optioned have since expired. Woo's next projects are The Divide, a western concerning the friendship between two workers, one Chinese, the other Irish, on the Transcontinental Railroad, while The Devil's Soldier is a biopic on Frederick Townsend Ward, an American brought to China in the mid-19th century by the emperor to suppress rebellion. Rendezvous in Black will be an adaptation of the drama-thriller novel of the same name, and Cites is a science fiction thriller about a telepathic agent, and a remake of Blindspot. In May 2008, Woo announced in Cannes that his next movie would be 1949, an epic love story set between the end of World War II and Chinese Civil War to the founding of the People's Republic of China, the shooting of which would take place in China and Taiwan. Its production was due to begin by the end of 2008, theatrical release planned in December 2009. However, in early April 2009, John Woo's 1949 was cancelled due to script right issues. Also reports indicate that Woo may be working on another World War II film, this time about the American volunteer group, or the Flying Tigers. The movie is tentatively titled Flying Tiger Heroes, and Woo is reported as saying it will feature the most spectacular aerial battle scenes ever seen in Chinese cinema. Whether this means that John Woo will not be directing the rumored Romeo and Juliet war film, or it has been put on the back burner, is not clear. Woo has stated that Flying Tiger Heroes would be an extremely important production, and will emphasize U.S.-Chinese friendship and the contributions of the Flying Tigers and the Yunnan people during the War of Resistance. Woo has announced he will be using IMAX cameras to film the Flying Tigers project. It has always been a dream of mine to explore shooting with IMAX cameras and to work in the IMAX format, and the strong visual element of this film is incredibly well suited to the tastes of cinemagoers today. Using IMAX for Flying Tigers would create a new experience for the audience, and I think it would be another breakthrough for Chinese movies. Filmography, directed, producer, A Better Tomorrow, Peace Hotel, Somebody Up There Likes Me, The Replacement Killers, The Big Hit, Red Skies, Bulletproof Monk, The Glass Beads, Blood Brothers, Appleseed Saga, Ex Machina, My Fair Gentleman, Reign of Assassins, Cedric Bale, Second Sight, The Killer, Writer, Hello, Late Homecomers. A Better Tomorrow, Television Work, Once a Thief, Other Works, Airport 98, Hostage, Seven Brothers, Stranglehold, Bloodstroke, Asahi Superdry Jar, see also, Cinema of China, Cinema of Hong Kong, references. Further reading, in English, Bliss, Michael. Between the Bullets, The Spiritual Cinema of John Woo. Filmmakers Series, number 92. Lanham, Maryland Scarecrow Press, 2002. ISBN 0-8108-4110-X. Brown, Andrew M. J. Directing Hong Kong, The Political Cinema of John Woo and Wong Kari. Political Communications in Greater China, The Construction and Reflection of Identity. London, Routledge Curtin, 2001. ISBN 0-7007-1734-X. Crawford, Kevin R. Mixing Violence and Religion in the Reckoning, the Scripting of a Postmodern Action Thriller Inside the John Woo Film Noir Paradigm. Digital Dissertation Theses, 2007. 1. Fang, Karen. Why John Woo's A Better Tomorrow. The New Hong Kong Cinema. Hong Kong, Hong Kong University Press, 2004. ISBN 962-209-652-2. Hall, Kenneth E. John Woo, The Films. Jefferson, North Carolina. McFarland, 1999. ISBN 0-7864-0619-4. Hurd, Christopher. 10,000 Bullets, The Cinematic Journey of John Woo. Los Angeles, Lone Eagle Publishing, Colorado, 2000. ISBN 1-58065-021-X. Woo, John. Elder, Robert K., ed. John Woo, Interviews. Conversations with Filmmakers Series. University Press of Mississippi. ISBN A9781578067763. In other languages, Uruezo, Pedro J. John Woo y el Cine de Axia Cubed en de Hong Kong. Biblioteca Dr. var Copyright TIGO, 23. Barcelona Editions GLA Copyright Nat, 2000. ISBN 84-8449-043-2. Bertolino, Marco, and S. Torridla. John Woo, La Violenza Cumbradensian. Recco, Geneva, Lemani, 1998. ISBN 88-8012-098-0. Gashler, Thomas, and Ralph Ahmad. Woo Leben und Werk. Ma 1/4 NCHEN, Belleville, 2005. ISBN 3-933510-48-1. Nazaro, Gina A., and Andrea Tagliozzo. John Woo, La nuova leggenda del cinema d'Asian. Cantati, 199. Roma, Castelvecchi, 2000. ISBN 88-8210-203-3. Spanu, Massimiliano. John Woo. Il Castoro Cinema, 203. Milano, Castoro, 2001. ISBN 88-8033-192-2. Via copyright to St. Caroline. John Woo. Paris, Dark Star, 2001. ISBN 2-914680-01-5. External links: John Woo at the Internet Movie Database, Hard-Boiled at the Wayback Machine, a John Woo retrospective, John Woo, The Independents, John Woo Interviews, 10 Hard-Boiled Moments, The Best of John Woo, Allegory and Symbolism in John Woo's Cinematic Arts of Themes and Aesthetics, Director John Woo to direct WWII fighter epic in China based on Flying Tiger's exploits. John Woo interview with Underground Republique, interview by A.N. Cocker's Asia Pacific Arts, November 19, 2009.